In James chapter 5, he begins to broach the subject of wealth, the subject of money. You know, it's unfortunate if you think about it that typically speaking in the church, if a pastor begins to give a sermon on money, the people groan because they know a building campaign must be right around the corner. And that's sad, but it's true. But the truth of the matter is, Jesus spent as much time talking about money as he did any other subject. And James broaches the subject here as well. The teaching in this passage is not going to be that money is a bad thing, but it's going to be that you and I are going to be accountable for every penny that God entrusts to us. So he begins to speak to the rich in James chapter 5, and he says this, "Come now, you rich, weep and howl for the miseries that are coming upon you. Your riches have rotted, and your garments are moth-eating. Your gold and silver have corroded. Their corrosion will be evidence against you, and will eat your flesh like fire. You have laid up treasures in the last days. Behold, the wages of the laborers who mowed your fields, which you kept back in fraud, are crying against you. You have lived on earth in luxury and in self-indulgence. You have fattened your hearts in the day of slaughter. You have condemned and murdered the righteous person, and he does not resist you." Now, these are very, very strong words, almost shocking. This is James speaking to believers who have more than they need. And he's saying, you're going to stand accountable for all that you have been given. You're going to stand accountable for what you've done with the money that God has entrusted to you. Do you recognize that everything that you have was given to you by God? That everything you have is not really yours. You're just a steward of what God has given you. God is the one who controls the economies of this world. And in America today, He has entrusted us with more wealth than any other country in the history of the world. And therefore, you and I now sit in a church that although there are poor and rich in the church, we are the wealthiest church to ever live. You're going to stand accountable to God for the money that you've been given. Are you using the resource that God has given you to bring glory to Him and to spread His kingdom, or are you using the resources that He has given you to spread your kingdom and to build your empire? You really need to deal with that question because James is asking you to deal with it. Are you being fair with the money? Are you being generous with the money? Are you hoarding the money? Begin to ask God to reveal to you if you are using His resources to glorify Him or to glorify you, and ask Him to expose you if there's misuse and to strengthen you to use your resources for His glory.